All right, so we'll start with what I putt with. I have two classic hybrid Wardens. I got the mini hand eye stamp. I really like these because they're not quite as stiff as the classic, but they're a little bit less soft than the classic blend. They fit nice in my hand for the summer, winter, whatever. In the coming months at Illinois, I'm going to enjoy these things. Move on to throwing putters, starting with the most stable. I got the ESP Zone Disc Golf Pro Tour version. I recently switched to ESP just because of the feel, and I feel like it's a little bit more overstable than the Z or the Z Flex. I like the way it feels in my hand for backhand, for forehand, anything inside 300 feet on the course. If there's some wind even, I know that I can count on this disc to go right at the basket. Next, we got the Tour Series Luna in the ESP plastic. This disc is one of my favorites to throw for upshots right now because it just goes exactly where I want it to, whether it's straight, anhyzer, hyzer. This disc goes exactly on the line I put it on and does not deviate from that, which I really appreciate on the course. Next up in my throwing putters, I have the Zeppelin, or the Plastic Addicts Habit. I really like this disc in the woods because it just goes dead straight, maybe a little bit of flip up if I throw it hard. It's nice and glidey with the wide diameter, so I know it's going nowhere but straight. It doesn't tend to like the wind, which is a struggle at times, but if you get this thing in a tailwind, it's gonna go as far as most of my mid-ranges, which is really nice. The last throwing putter that I have in my lineup is the Zero Medium Keystone. The Keystone I don't bust out often, but it's a really understable putter that I can get some late turn out of, or if I want to throw it really soft, I know it'll hold straight. I like this for the woods as well, just because I can shape lines with it really nice, and I know that it's going to glide right to the basket. Next, we'll move on to mid-ranges, again starting with the most overstable. Most overstable that I have in my bag is the Lucid Justice. This disc is one that I really like throwing backhand and forehand. With low profile, it fits nicely in my hand, and it's so overstable that it does nothing but fight the wind for me. No matter whether I've got a headwind, tailwind, no wind, I know that this disc is going left or right, depending on if I'm throwing it forehand or backhand. Next mid-range I have in my bag is the Champion Rock X3. This disc is one that I pull out of my bag often on windy days. It's a little bit less stable than my Justice, so I can get some more distance with it. It's still got that low profile for backhands. Occasionally I'll throw it forehand, but not very often. I really like it because it goes straight and then has a hard finish at the end. So no matter what, I know this disc is gonna fight the wind and it's never gonna burn over on me. Next mid-range I have in my bag is the ESP Buzz. I carry the Ledgestone Edition, and I really like it because A, it's gorgeous, and B, I like the flat profile. It's a little bit less stable than that Rock X3, again, just another step down. It holds straight for a little while, has a touch of fade at the end, so I know it's not gonna turn too far left or right. It really doesn't deviate from the line that I put it on too much, so I really like it for open courses, wooded courses. No matter what, I know this disc is going exactly on the line that I put it on. The next disc I have in my bag is the Sirius Plastic Aurora. Now this disc is somewhat similar to my Buzz in the fact that it holds whatever line I put it on, but it has a little bit more understability to it, and if I put some power, I can really get some late turn. This is one of my favorite discs to throw on about 300 to 330 foot tunnel shots in the woods, or if I just need something that I know will go straight no matter what, I pull out the Sirius Aurora. The last mid-range that I have in my bag, and the most understable, is an old beat-up Star Mako 3. It's a little bit lighter weight at 169 grams, but I like this disc because I can get some really late turn out of it. If I'm throwing it in the woods, I'm likely throwing it on a good amount of hyzer so that it's gonna late flip and then pan to the right at the end of the flight. I throw it a lot in the woods, not too much on open courses, but if there's a big tailwind where I might need it, I will pull it out. Next up, we got fairway drivers. Again, starting with the most overstable. I carry the Paul Ulibarri Captain's Raptor. I really like this disc for headwinds, for any kind of wind, because I know that it's gonna do nothing but hyzer. I throw it backhand, I throw it forehand. Again, with the low profile, it fits really nicely in my hand, and no matter what, this disc is going on hyzer immediately out of my hand. Next fairway driver that I have in my lineup is the Star Firebird. This one has the Bobby Jitter stamp on it. It's slightly lighter weight at 173, which for whatever reason makes it a little bit less overstable. I can throw this thing hard and it'll flip up just a bit, but always has that consistent fade of a Firebird towards the end once it starts losing its speed. I really, really like this disc for forehands, especially because I can get some extra distance out of it with that little bit of extra flip, but I still know that it's going to fade hard no matter what the wind or the conditions out on the course. Next fairway driver I have in my bag is the Metal Flake Champion T-Bird 3. This is one of the discs that I've had in my bag for the longest because it's been one of the most true flying, amazing fairway drivers that I've ever thrown. It's one that's just nice and straight with a little bit of fade. If I throw it extra hard, I can get a little bit of turn out of it, but not much. I don't throw it forehand much, but backhand in the woods, on open fairways, it doesn't matter. I am taking this disc out of my bag and throwing it on anything that's between 330 and 400 feet. Next disc that I have in my bag is one that not too many people throw probably, is the Champion Cheetah. The Cheetah is one of my favorite, if not my favorite disc in my bag right now. This thing has just gone dead straight for years now. I throw it a lot in the woods. I throw it a lot on open courses. This thing does not deviate off of its line. It has a little bit of flip if I throw it extra hard, but other than that, it is going straight for between 380 and 420. Last fairway driver I have in my bag is the Lucid Maverick. This is another disc that I don't pull out of my bag too often, but in the woods especially, I like it for its late turn and lots of glide. I can throw it on a good amount of hyzer and trust that it's going to flip up and glide to the right most of the way through its flight, and then eventually pan back at the end without too much turn. I really, really like this disc for big distance shots where I don't quite want to pull out a distance driver, but I need that extra turn and glide to get the disc there. All right, and finally we have distance drivers. Again, starting with the most overstable in my bag, I have the Star Monster. This is another sort of utility disc that I keep in my bag that doesn't come out too often, but again, I know that it is going to hyzer no matter what. This disc has just about no glide and a ton of overstability, so if I ever need a shot that I can throw up and trust to come straight back down vertical, this is what I'm pulling out. On the chance that I need some kind of a thumber, if I'm in trouble in the woods or something like that, again, this is the disc I'm going to pull out with the flat profile. I like throwing it forehand, backhand, pretty much no matter what in the wind, I'm probably throwing this disc to fight some big headwinds. Next, I have the Plastic Addicts Intervention First Run. I also don't throw this disc too terribly often, but if I need something that's just a little bit less overstable than that monster and to fight the wind, I'm going to take this disc out, I'm going to throw in a little bit of hyzer. It may pop up a little bit, but I know that it's going to have that consistent fade. The flat profile really helps it fight the wind nice and smooth, and I also might be throwing it forehand every once in a great while. Next up, we have the Star Destroyer, which I have 4 of in all varieties and weights. First up, I have a max weight Ricky Wysocki Star Destroyer. This is my beefcake destroyer that I throw mostly backhand. Every once in a while it'll come out for a forehand, but I know that this disc is going left no matter what. I've thrown it in some of the toughest headwinds that I've faced on the course, and it stays true to its line. It does nothing but go left and hyzer in to exactly where I'm trying to go on the fairway. The next destroyer that I've got is another Ricky destroyer, a little bit lighter weight at 174. I like this one for forehands a little bit better. It's got less dome, flatter profile, which makes it a little bit less overstable. So I can get it to flip up just a little bit before it eventually has that nice consistent fade at the end. I will throw this backhand if I need some extra distance on a hyzer that I don't think I can get with that yellow Ricky destroyer, but most of the time this is my forehand disc of choice. Next destroyer I have is my full color Goku Stamp Star Destroyer. This one is one that I pretty much exclusively throw backhand. It's my straight to stable Star Destroyer. I throw it flat, it'll go flat for most of the way, and then eventually fade at the end. It's got nice consistent fade no matter what. Even in wind, it's gonna flip up maybe just a touch and then come back at the end. I like it for big distance shots if I have a little bit of a headwind and don't trust some of my more understable discs. The last destroyer I have is my black and white Goku stamp. This one, if you see me pulling out a disc for a big distance shot on any kind of open course or big fairway, this is probably the disc that I'm pulling out of my bag. This is one of my favorite destroyers that I've ever thrown. It's nice and flippy. I can throw it on a lot of hyzer and still trust that it's going to flip up, glide to the right, and then have that consistent destroyer finish back to the left of the fairway. I rarely throw this disc forehand unless I have some kind of a standstill where I know I need that extra turn, but for the most part, I'm throwing this for big distance backhand shots. Next distance driver I have in my bag is the Big Z Zeus. Now this is a disc that I pull out if I need big distance and I have some kind of a tailwind, or if I need some extra turn. This is a little bit more understable than that Star Destroyer that I just showed you, but it has a nice flat profile as well, a little bit less dome than that other destroyer. I throw it on a lot of hyzer. It can flip up to flat, it can turn over. I throw it forehands every once in a while if I need something that's gonna flip a little bit late, and it gets some really nice big distance with a good amount of glide. The last disc that I have in my bag is the ESP Heat. This is a disc that's more recent to my bag, but made it pretty quick because I really like it for big backhand rollers. I like it for late flipping backhand tee shots. It's just a really nice, dependable, understable disc that even though it's very understable, I know it's not gonna burn over. I don't have any worry of it getting lost in the wind. I know exactly what this disc is gonna do, which I feel like is hard to find in an understable distance driver. Mainly I'm throwing this for rollers. Maybe every once in a while if I have a big tailwind, I'll pull it out for a distance shot, but most of the time I'm laying this thing down for a big roller.